Adam, thanks so much for joining. Can you just tell me a little bit about you and your story?
My name is Adam Elmasri. I'm an Egyptian Australian author, speaker, human rights activist. I'm very passionate about women's rights and ex Muslim rights and LGBTQ rights, specifically in the Middle East, where in a lot of areas it would be nearly non existent. But now I'm expanding my work globally as well.
And what got you into this? Got you into this work?
On one hand, being now I'm an ex-Coptic Christian, but being a Coptic Orthodox Christian growing up in Egypt, a predominantly Muslim country, having my own strong sense of identity, and later in life having my own faith crisis and coming out of it with the least amount of support, having been out of that and seeing the other side of the spectrum, I came to change my position on a lot of topics that I used to hold dear to in my belief system. And I found that in the Middle East and Arabic speaking communities, that is well needed. You need that support and you need someone to really give a voice to the voiceless in that regard. But also in the English speaking world, I found that there's a lot of knowledge gap that needs to be filled, perhaps from a native Arabic speaker when it comes to Islamic texts and certain belief systems that the Western world is not really aware of.
And what would you want the Western world to be aware of?
Where do I start from? A lot of things. So, even the word aware itself is a very interesting word because, in a lot of sense, you talk to people in the Western world and they think they are aware of a topic. If we talk about, I don't know, female genital mutilation or the discrimination of the Coptic Christians in Egypt or any given topic, people think, oh, I heard about that, I know about it, therefore I'm aware. But they're not really aware of the nuances and the very intricate details that are at play, the texts that promote or go against these kind of practices. It takes another level of awareness that I would like to bring to those who are not necessarily familiar with these topics. How and why women get discriminated against in the Middle East, or how do they get oppressed, and why? Is it just because we live in a patriarchal systems? Well, for the majority of the Western world history, it was a patriarchal system. Only very recently that we're trying to close the gap and have these feminist movements. But there is a lot of religious promotion and belief systems that promote misogyny or patriarchal systems in the Middle East. That needs to be known about.
And talking of awareness, you talk about obviously the things that you want to spread more awareness about, and also your experience leaving faith and how that changed your perspective on life. And that might actually be a great way for us to segue into your upcoming book. If you could maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Wounded by Faith is the book title. It's a personal memoir. I talk about how I grew up in Egypt and how I developed my own beliefs and identity, which was a very strong sense of identity. Having my own faith crisis at some point and how I came out, and all of a sudden, from seeing the world as black and white, coming to see the world in technicolor, the cultural shock that I experienced in Australia, diversity and inclusions, terms that were never in my dictionary. Like if you ask me 15 years ago about diversity and inclusion, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? So all these things I speak about how I became aware of it in my book, how they shattered my world or burst my bubble, the mental health issues and the trauma that I had to experience in order to embrace the new self before experiencing any family or friends shunning or ostracization or any of these things. That I was my worst enemy to start with, to accept this new identity and these new concepts. All that is laid in the book. Yeah.
It sounds like maybe writing the book was a form of therapy in and of itself.
To some extent, yes. Well, I've done a lot of work and therapy over the years before coming to write the book, which is kind of a recent exercise in itself. However, writing the book got me to reflect on things and go at a level of detail that I haven't really dug that deep. Not that it caused any relapse or trauma recalling. It wasn't like that, but it got me to a point where I understood myself much better and my new worldview at a much better level.
And when someone does read the book, what do you want them to take away from it?
The biggest thing, I guess, is you're not alone. I tend to speak a lot in the book about the different moments and how they made me feel and how it made others around me feel, being believers or non-believers. I think you will find a lot of relatable moments, even if you don't come from a Coptic Christian faith, whatever faith you come from or lack thereof, you'll find the human experience in itself very relatable in a way. So I would love the reader to think that there's nothing wrong with you. Whatever journey you're going through, it's very valid and it makes you who you are, and you're just great. You can only re-examine, reassess your beliefs, why you accept something as true and what's not. And that would be the overarching message of the book that I would like people to embrace in general. And even if we step away from religious beliefs, like if you believe anything, flat earth or elections in America, whatever it is, you need to come to that point where I can re-examine my own thoughts and find the truth somehow.
And when will it be coming out, and where can people find it?
It should be out on digital platforms in about 3 weeks' time and in printed format by the start of the new year. So by January 2025, it should be available both digitally and printed.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to reading it, and thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.